Project's moving right along. I think we're right on schedule for what we have. It's still a major process. We were able to clear the land. We got rid of the stumps. We got a building permit to be able to build on it. Zoning signed off. Everybody got everything in order. Land surveyor staked out the lot. We dug the hole. They put the footings in, formed up the foundation walls, poured the foundation. Now the next big step is framing it. Hi, I'm Dave Sweet, and we're building an eco-friendly home, and you're following along. This is awesome that we can kind of document the process. Like I say, there's a lot going on, and now we can just kind of maybe talk about some other things we have to look forward to and think about terms and other things. We did it once before on some of the land and doing that. The next thing is, we're moving into the framing process on that. What kind of wood is going to be used? Are we thinking about LEED certification? What are some of the other things? When you're building a house, you do have a lot of options out there of what type of building material to use. And I try to be cognizant of that and what goes on. If we're going to use, like I say, Doug fir or hemlock or something like that for framing materials like walls, where do they come from? Is it a Canadian product? Is it a U.S. product? Is it coming from the West? I say there's a lot of choices, but in essence, there isn't really, because your supplier kind of dictates what materials you have available. You want traceability. You want to know where things are if you do have an issue. Say you get a bad batch of lumber, or it could even be siding and it doesn't take stain or paint. Where did that come from? How good a quality was that? So you'd like to use reputable sources for everything and be able to have kind of that I call it traceability, it probably isn't, but we could follow the paper trail where that material came from, when it got built. Is this lumber company planting new trees, constantly rotating? Do they do that cut and work their way around and then plan for that, do it better? What we're thinking about is for our floor system or floor joist, we're going to use a TJI, an engineered material. And that can mean a host of different things, but in my reference, when I talk about it, that would be something that's man-made instead of just a tree where we cut it down and dimensional lumber, we cut it to size, where it's more of a man-made material. Okay, I took all the byproducts of something, put a resin with it, glued it together, and now I'm kind of reusing scraps or other things, but I'm also creating in a controlled environment, so every piece is exactly the same, has the same strength. You'll get engineered tables with it, how far I can span, or what's the load, all these other things. So when I say engineer, that terminology was, we've taken it a step further. We take some of the best man or natural products and we put that man-made element with it to make it better, more stable, more dimensionally true, and do all that. To me, sustainability is looking at the big picture. Sustainability, eco-friendly, less impact on the environment. It just means you should be conscious about your decisions. If you have a choice of 2 or 3 different products, which one actually affects the ecosystem the least and will suit the needs that you want to go. Case in point, maybe you're picking flooring material. Maybe a bamboo product is better than some other tropical hardwoods or something like that. That, where it's very quick growth and they can replenish it and do some other things. But the idea when it's sustainable is really thinking about every product that you're putting into this new home, where it comes from, and what the impact on the environment. Another term that we talk about is LEEDs, or the LEEDs program or certification. We tend to see it more on the commercial side of things where, like this building we're sitting right here is a LEEDs Platinum certified building. It's amazing. Where everything that goes into is thought about, materials of selection, where they came from, what impact on the environment. Well, they have a whole nother sector that pertains to residential style homes. And so we're looking into, how do we qualify on this project? But it is a lot of paperwork. There's a lot going on with that to document it. And so we're actually exploring that right now, how we can get involved, who would be a good person to follow along and track this. It almost need an accountant or somebody else, to keep up with the paperwork and what goes on. But the idea, yeah, we are exploring it and we would like to, participate in that if we can. Landscaping is another thought, as we move along, I guess as we get closer on that thing. But yeah, we don't want to bring in anything that's not native in Connecticut per se on there. There's going to be some space there. We'll probably do some natural ground cover and things like that. Other places, we had some stone walls we moved and we put those aside. We're going to reallocate or reuse those around, maybe on the entrance coming up of our driveway, more of a retaining wall, and then maybe around the flower garden in the back. But we really want to, in the picture as this move forward, we want to keep thinking of the landscape, and also, you know, we're putting in a foundation. We have to worry about, you know, the travel of water on the land, and what do we have to do for that? And we want to make sure we have the right landscaping that will keep that ground intact and yet be able to channel things away, you know. Thought process was a pool too at some point. Would love to have one. And maybe even, you know, some type of plantings all around there. So that's kind of like our next scheme as we're building, is also be thinking, you know, what would the backyard look like? And so we don't put something or dig in the wrong spot for intended results there. Building envelope to me is one of the most important things there for comfort and what this building is going to use for energy. You know, we talked about the foundation being level and square and supporting all that. That's important. But now what I put on top of it, being that type of structure, is really susceptible to the wind and other things going on. We want to do the best possible choice. So it has to be, we live in Connecticut, down by the shoreline, so we have high winds. You know, we have to design for a much higher wind load than other places. So we want a structural package that is going to stay together. So in looking at those different possible ways of framing, we came up with more of a conventional framing, or advanced framing, taken a step further, is planning how we're going to do that. So that way I get to use local labor, expertise. But like when it comes to corners and headers and things like that, we plan a little bit more so we can get some insulation behind there instead of wood conducting to other things. So to me, advanced framing makes the most sense. You know, people take the extra step to insulate, but they forget, you know, like where a roof meets a wall is a cold spot, or other interior or partition walls, things like that with the attic. Now we're just paying attention to everything. We're going to make that envelope continuous all around the structure. So you almost think about an igloo, you know. Well, this is a great blog in the fact that it's interactive. You know, I'm reaching out to you for information. I really, you know, I know a lot. I've used industry experts out there. But I'm sure you've came across a lot of different possibilities of framing or using materials, and we'd really like to hear from you. I say it's interactive, and that, you know, I look at the blog, I watch the emails coming in, the responses on there, and get back right to them, but we look forward to as much as you can send in. You know, I get excited reading somebody's experience, you know, especially on positive ones, you know, what they've done and you know, how low their energy bills are and how comfortable it is. And also pitfalls too. That's another thing. You know, we get two ends of the spectrum that, hey, please stay away from this type of insulation or some other things. So please, I really implore you to respond, send in some information on here, and you know, keep this thing going. It's so exciting.